Away with you now. Hello, welcome to the Bench Movie Club. I'm Charlie,
I'm Matthew.
and in this episode, we are doing Matt's pick,
My pick.
Father Ted the movie. Oh, it might as well be The Quiet Man from 1952, directed by John Ford, who also, of course, directed The Grapes of Wrath and Stagecoach. But yeah, got an Oscar for Best Director and Best Cinematography.
Yes, indeed, 1953. Got that. Yeah.
What's the film about, Matt? And why is it your favourite film ever? And why did you pick this film?
Basically, the film is about a young Irish lad emigrates with his mum to the States, becomes a heavyweight boxing champion.
This is like backstory, so before it sort of starts, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the backstory. Then he decides he's retiring from boxing, and decides to go back home to his family home where he was born, and a small village
called Innisfree.
Innisfree, that's it.
Which is a fictional village, so don't bother trying to
get it. It is. You can't find it. And then basically, it's the story goes from there, meeting a childhood sweetheart, so to speak, of a similar age, and it's just interacting with all the old folk that his parents used to know, etc. It's a fantastic film. I find it's a perfect Sunday afternoon film. You can sit there and watch it. It's a feel good film. It's got a lot of things that Ireland, it's like the troubles and things like that. You don't see any troubles in Innisfree. It's quite, you've got the Catholics and Protestants, but they all seem to get along, and the acting in it is phenomenal. With Maureen O'Hara, Victor McLegan, he's amazing. Ward Bond, very, very good actors, and they all play a fantastic part. There's not one, and even in John Wayne, I mean, a lot of people, don't rate John Wayne as an actor, and he only ever won one Oscar. But
what did he win it for?
He won it for True Grit.
Oh,
it was True Grit. I think it was True Grit. Yeah, it was either that or Rooster Cogburn, but one of the two there. I think it was True Grit.
That's the same character, isn't it? He done.
Yeah, exactly. It's a spin-off, wasn't it? With Catherine Hepburn was Rooster Cogburn.
Was she?
Yeah, she's in. Yeah,
she was Rooster Cogburn.
No, she was in Rooster Cogburn. Yeah,
that is good acting.
It is very good.
John
acting.
Wayne.
But yeah, I find
and he's got the rivalry with his intended brother.
Yeah, so basically he spots Maureen O'Hara, and he's like, oh, hello, I'm gonna try and whisk her away, but obviously
the old Irish charm.
Yeah.
Top of the morning, pilgrim.
But the thing is,
I'm glad he didn't try to do an Irish accent.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think that's why it was well suited for him, because obviously he's been living in the States since he was a young boy, and when he comes back over, he's not quite up to date with how things are done in Ireland when it comes to courting.
But in general, apart from the brother, people welcome him in. As soon as they've sort of cross-examined him a little bit, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, come on,
Sean Tartan."
And I think this is probably one of the things to do with its success. I mean, I'd never seen it before.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was gonna.
Yeah,
because you explained it to me, and I thought, John Wayne film. I'm not that big on John Wayne. I don't mind a western. I thought it was going to be a western.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. But as soon as it started, as soon as he started talking to the people to the train station, he's going, okay, what do you want to do? You see that road there?
Yeah.
It's not that way. You don't take that road. I thought, I like this straight away.
That's perfect.
And this is why I referenced Father Ted, because that is I love that kind of Irish humour, that sort of backwards humour where they sort of make fun, but they seem so sort of at ease with themselves, but so sort of matter of fact, like
100%.
And I think one of the reasons I think it probably was successful in America, because you've got a large proportion of America who consider themselves Irish. Even though they're not really Irish, they're like as Irish as you and I. Like our Nen's Irish. Nell was Irish,
descent.
So we're quarter Irish,
Yeah.
But we would never go around and say, "Oh yeah, we're Irish," because we're not. But an American who's like
100%.
4 generations away from Ireland would still say, "Oh, you us Irish."
They dye a whole river in Boston every year for St. Patrick's Day green.
Yeah,
that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so when they see this, they probably identify with the John Wayne character. They think that's exactly what it would be like for me if I went home to Ireland.
Exactly.
They'd notice my accent, but then they'll go, "No, of course you're Irish. Come on, welcome us in." So I can see that's
And the fact it is predominantly a comedy. It's a romance comedy and one of the earliest rom-coms, you would say. But the what really makes it for me is the angst between his to be a brother-in-law and him. It's absolute and Victor McLaglen is just a phenomenal actor, and his sons went on to do great things, producing and directing and stuff like that. So, and I think that the protagonists, the way they talk to each other, the way they behave, it's just absolutely hilarious.
It's hilarious, but it's also believable as well.
It is very believable.
It's the Irishness of him, the way he's sort of very like, how dare you? And he gets so angry. And I think he's very well cast because I don't really know him that well. But you think John Wayne's a huge guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a massive
guy.
So
you needed a big guy as well. You needed someone believable who would go toe to toe with him. If you had like this. If they had like this tiny little skinny Irish guy going up against him, you'd think, well, that's not believable.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in real life, Victor McLaglen would have had him.
Yes.
Because obviously, when they first sort of meet, he takes a disliking to him immediately. Because obviously, he sees him as a threat because Victor McLaglen's character. And it's also the fact that he's the big fish in the pond.
Yes.
And there's another one coming in.
Another big fish.
Yeah, and not only that, he wants to, date his sister, and he also wants the land that his family had that gets sold by the widow that owns all the properties. And not only that, you've also got the IRA in it. It's and there's very traditional things that they would do as well.
Because there's several like subtle references to like the Irish efforts to like win their independence from the UK. Like Michael Flynn at one point says he's going to the pub to talk a little treason. Red Danaher, when he's confronted with the demand for the dowry in front of the townspeople, says, "So the IRA's in this too." Feeling betrayed by them. Yeah. And Father Lonergan also refers to going to a political meeting. So it's throughout it, but it doesn't feel as if a political film. It's not at all. It's an authentic backdrop to what is going on. They're living their normal lives, but this is how people would have spoke back then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and obviously there's no vehicles; it's all horse and cart, and it's and the dowry in them days would have been a massive thing, and that causes a massive issue. And it just steamrolls from there. But it's one of them films that I sit there. I've watched it so many times. You just end up sitting there smiling, laughing.
It is like definition of a feel good film. There's not really any moments in it where you feel
there's no
depressing bits.
There's no boring bits.
Constant sort of what's going to happen next kind of thing. And I like how it ends with that big fight. That's over the top fight. And I like when they what is it? He phones the police sergeant. He's like, right. He says, "Put me down, friend."
They come around. They'll come from. They're bringing people in from other towns to watch it, and
there's the dying man who suddenly gets up.
Honestly, it is one of them films that it's so overlooked that you once you start watching it, if you've got the paper, because obviously black and white, people just shy away from watching black and white films, but they are truly losing out.
Black and white?
Well, you can get 2 versions of it. Black and white.
Colour.
Yeah. So they did it in a Technicolor as well. So, but it was originally filmed in black and white.
I'm a Philistine.
Yeah, but the black and white version, I specifically like. But then you don't get the picture of the countryside because the scenery is phenomenal as well, isn't it? And when they have a horse race and they're riding up the beaches and around, and yeah, it's just the backdrop to it is phenomenal. Obviously, Irish countryside is phenomenal. And I think that
it's so green because it's perfect. It's similar to like England's very green, and it's because we're their islands where they get so much rain.
Yeah, that's
a lot of rain, and that's what you need. And whenever people moan over here, go, "Oh, bloody rain!" I said, "You'll be grateful for this because when it comes to the summer, when you do get the sun, when you do get the nice weather, you're grateful because you think how beautiful the countryside is."
Yeah, it is perfect, absolutely perfect. Well, obviously the storyline's really good. I like the storyline with the Yanks, and and just in general, all of it is, and the ending, the very very end, is after the fight. When you see the end results of certain things, of what's happened that you've been building up the whole way through the film, even that comes with a smile. As it's a comforting smile.
And they're all waving. It all takes like a shot on each of them waving.
That's right, yeah.
And of course, it has a famous bit where she whispers to John Wayne, and he looks surprised.
Yeah.
And that was when, at the film's conclusion, after the credits, we see Kate and Sean standing in their garden waving goodbye, and O'Hara whispers something in Wayne's ear, and when he sort of looks at her. And so John Ford spoke to her about this, and she said, "I'm going to say something to get the reaction. I would never normally say, but I'm going to say it to get this reaction. However, only me, you, and John can ever know what it is." And they all sort of took it to their grave.
Oh, really?
No one ever knows what she
I've never known, because obviously that's a poignant moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because obviously they worked together on several films, didn't they? One of my favourite films with them is also McClintock.
Okay.
And that's a cowboy film where he basically owns the town. She's his estranged wife that now lives miles away everywhere because he's one of the biggest landowners, got plenty of money. And she lives the high life with their daughter in one of the big cities. And she comes home, and that's quite a, and that again, they have sort of towards the end, they have a sort of similar sort of theme. When he's dragging her along for the dad, they have a similar sort of thing in McClintock, the same, and that's a great film as well. A very good film, because obviously I'm a big John Wayne fan anyway, because my dad. Religiously, we used to watch ridiculous amounts of John Wayne films. And if you ask my mum, she'd be like, "Oh, what's he doing? He's watching another John Wayne film as well."
I read an interesting fact about him. He's got the record for the most amount of starring roles in films.
Oh,
how you get some actors will do supporting roles? I think he's done something ridiculous, like 200 films.
And
there was only like 11 of them that he didn't have the top billing. The rest, so he holds the record for the most.
A lot of it was because obviously he didn't go to the war. There was a big thing about John Wayne and the war. So basically, whereas you got a lot of the other famous Hollywood actors,
Jimmy Stewart went
to war. Or a lot of the big famous ones, they actually went like fighter pilots, and won medals for stuff. So the story goes that obviously John Wayne applied, but never received his application back or any notification, and it created a bit of an angst between him and John Ford. John Ford would dig him out for it quite badly, especially because he played a lot of war films.
Santa Iwo Jima. Tough guy.
And he's this big tough guy, and he didn't actually go to war when the country needed it, but. When you look at his career, he'd done Stagecoach, and then after Stagecoach, he'd done a few minor ones. But then what happened is that when war took off, a lot of the actors went. It caused a bit of a vacuum. So he seemed to get a lot more of the parts straight away. And by the time of the end of the war, he was a massive star. And I think he looked up to Ford. Massively. It was honestly, they were friends, but he used to give him a bit of stick for not going to war. And I think that did probably play on his mind a little bit, but he had a very, very successful career, and I don't think he probably would have had the career that he had if he had gone to war, because I think he would have been second-rate billing most of the time, because obviously when you look at his acting skills originally, he was fairly wooden.
But it's also like, you could say, I think there's a difference between a great actor and a star, because you look at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example. That's the most obvious one.
Yeah.
Someone who his acting ability is very limited, but there's something about him you want to watch him all the time.
He's captivating.
It's like a man's man type thing, and
100%,
John Ford is John Wayne is like the original of that.
Yeah.
People looked up at him and thought he hasn't got to do much to sort of intimidate. But he doesn't look intimidated by anyone.
No.
You can imagine that he can hold his own. He's believable.
Yeah.
Whereas, say, like for example, off the top of my head, Tom Cruise playing what's his name? Jack Reacher, is it?
Yeah.
Right. A guy who's supposed to be about 6'10" or something.
Yeah.
And you think, you can obviously, that good fight choreography, you can't pass as a hard man.
You can't, no, exactly that. Yeah,
it's the right things. And at that time, when America's looking, when you want someone to play the lead tough guy in the film, who everyone will sort of like, I can believe that he's not.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's believable. Obviously, I think John Wayne was 6'4", I think he was.
Yeah.
And I think this is true. I'm not 100%, but I think it was that. He's got that signature walk.
Yeah.
Hasn't he? Now that come to pass because he met very young. He apparently met Wyatt Earp.
Oh, really?
And he noticed that Wyatt Earp has a presence and a certain walk and a certain gait to his walk that made him look more of a tough man anyway. Obviously, he did it naturally, but so John Wayne took that on. That's why he has got a signature walk. It's almost leaning over a little bit when he walks. He's got very confident, isn't it? You see it throughout all of his films. But yeah, I mean,
even when he's playing Genghis Khan.
Even when he's playing Genghis Khan, that's another off the wall one that you think.
Apparently, that's the one where, because they shot that in Utah where there was like nuclear testing.
Oh, really?
And on that set, there was like, out of the 200 people involved, like 50 of them got cancer.
Oh, no.
Including John Wayne. So they reckon that film might have been when he actually got the cancer, because there's a photo of him holding the government say no, it's totally safe. There's a photo of him holding a gigameter and it's going off the chart. And they're shooting the film around that.
That's crazy.
He, of course, died in 79.
Yep.
Age 72 of respiratory arrest and gastric cancer.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, The Conqueror, what he shot, was in 1956. He shot that.
Oh, wow.
So, of course, it
developed over time.
Yeah. As you said, it's got Maureen O'Hara as well, who was in How Green Was My Valley, Miracle on 34th Street.
Fantastic actress.
Ward Bond, who plays
Ward Bond,
Father Peter Lonergan, who's in The Maltese Falcon.
Yeah.
And It's a Wonderful Life, who plays Bert in It's a Wonderful
Life.
That's
right. He's actually, in real life, he was a very tough man, wasn't he? A very, very tough man. And so was Victor McLagan. He was a real tough man.
Yeah,
in real life.
Victor McLagan was once British Army heavyweight boxing champion.
Yeah, exactly.
And he fought an exhibition fight against Jack Johnson for the world championship, which he lost. But still,
Jesus,
up against Jack Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really go wrong.
So when he punches John Wayne and he goes to the floor, you can believe it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think the whole film, from start to finish, even the opening credits, by the opening credits, a lot of people would look at it and go, "Oh, I'll turn that off." But just the opening credits alone.
No, you know what? And I think, because when I watched it, there is many old films which sometimes it has lulls, it has bits which sort of, I think the key to it being so captivating all the way along is because it was trimmed down. It had to be tight, because there was John Ford presented his final cut, which was 129 minutes long.
Yeah.
And the studio demanded he trimmed it down to 120 because they said audiences won't sit past 2 hours. And he said, I can't trim it down anymore. This is everything. And they went, well, we demand it. He went, okay, fine. A few days later, he called them all the studio execs into a cinema. He said, right, screen the film. They screened the film, the 129-minute version. And when it's 9 minutes from the end, like they're starting to have that fight, projectionist switched it off.
Oh, really?
And they're like, where's the rest of the film? He said, exactly, that's what the audience are going to say. And they went, okay, you can release
fantastic.
So that's why they kept the 129-minute version.
And it's not one part of it is boring. There's, because I think there's so many characters in the film that are just off the wall. You know, and they're all singing songs, having a laugh and a joke. There's no poor acting. There's
No.
just, you know, everything in it. I think is it is one of the original rom coms. It really is, and for this for the time period that it's set,
Mm.
there would have it's quite a harsh land. You
Mm.
know, it's very harsh. You're producing your own food. You're, if not, you're trading for food up the road. It's, you know, it's not. It's a very harsh environment, and
Mm.
but they all seem very pleasant. You know,
Yeah.
they're all very happy. There's all, you know, there's no
Or
angst.
in that situation, when you're in like a small village, it's more conductive to help one another. It's more conductive to be friendly. Go, oh,
That's
how
right.
much you want that for? I'll trade you this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not like if you're in a big city like in London or New York or Paris, people just stick to their own, soldier through, don't talk to one
Yeah,
another.
yeah, it's solely
Yeah.
focused.
But it captures it perfectly. This is actually one of John Wayne's 3 favourite of his own films he'd been in.
Oh, really?
It was this, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon from 1949,
Wow.
and The Searchers from 1956.
Now, The Searchers.
Mm.
That is an absolutely fantastic film.
Yeah,
It really is a good film.
I
I
haven't
won't
seen
say
it.
too much. It's probably one of his best films.
Yeah. Well, he agrees with you.
The subject matter is, you know, and it's quite harsh, you know, a bit of a reality check in some areas. But yeah, it's a really, really good film.
Yeah,
I
I'm
really
definitely.
enjoyed that.
It's on the list. I'm definitely going to check that out because it comes up a lot. The Searchers.
Yeah,
When I look through certain lists, when I look back on films that I want to see, it pops up a lot. And when a film keeps coming up like that,
you've got
I need to
yeah.
sort of give it a bit of time. Yeah, this one was actually, it has been accused of anti-Irish stereotypes, which I don't get. I think that's more of a recent sort of snowflake generation. Where did you look up?
Do you know? It's
I wasn't going to dig at you, Lily. No, but I think most Irish people, especially older Irish people, they take things very tongue in cheek. They're easygoing, very much like
exactly,
their
yeah.
superior English cousins. Who also
Yeah.
no, but you know,
Yeah.
it's something about the Isles that we all live on, like the English, the Scottish, the Welsh, the Irish. You can take a joke,
Yeah.
and you know, if people are making, they're not actually making fun of Irish people.
No, not
And
at all.
you know, and some of the way, but it does feel authentic. It does feel like we've both spoke to hundreds of Irish people,
Yeah.
and they could easily slip into this film.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I've been north and south in Ireland, and you can see characters in that film in real life.
Mm. Or even over here, like when they're just the bricklayers.
And ironically, it was St. Patrick's Day. Was it day before yesterday?
Mm.
Or yesterday? Yeah, yeah. So I think, yeah, it's quite poignant, and it actually it won. My dad was telling me, I haven't verified this, but it won best Irish film above My Left Foot.
I'd easily put this above My Left Foot. I like My Left Foot,
Yeah,
but it's so depressing. It's
oh,
not
it is,
something
yeah.
you'd put on for a happy Sunday afternoon.
No, no, definitely not.
I mean, there are loads of really good Irish films. I'm surprised My Left Foot is what it's up
Commitments, and
against.
yeah, there's quite a few, but
the recent one, the
yeah,
Banshees of Inisherin.
yeah, yeah,
That was good.
yeah. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that yet
I'd consider In Bruges an Irish film, even though obviously it's in Bruges.
because the cast, yeah.
Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. But it's that kind of Irish humour,
Yeah,
which it's unique to them.
but it's very sanitized because of the era it's set.
Mm.
I mean, there is no cursing, there's no swearing, there's no nothing. It's just pure.
But again, it doesn't seem unnatural. It seems totally believable.
Oh, 100%.
It's not like certain films that certain filmmakers make where everyone swears every bloody
No,
30 seconds.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That was authentic. That was a reference to my film, My Horrible Love, where because they're from Canning Town, and they're very bitter and very sort of, and they're out for themselves. Whereas this is a community which isn't necessarily out for themselves. They're looking for their own to pick themselves up, but they will buy each other a drink.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the dynamics of the Protestant and Catholics together, that, you know, I think that works very, very well. The scenery is fantastic. The acting is phenomenal. The script is fantastic. It's it's an all-round win-win for me, and it always has been since the first time I watched it. When I was a kid, my dad said, "Oh, I'm going to put this on," because he loves a John Wayne film, obviously. We put it on, and I was captivated from the first moment, and it's definitely in my top 10 of films to watch. It just don't stop giving the whole way through. There's always something to watch. There's always something to see, and yeah, phenomenal.
And the funny thing is, I consider myself someone who watches loads of films.
Yeah.
The only clip I've ever seen of this film was in E.T.
Oh, really? Yes.
Yeah, you know the bit in E.T. when it's the wind blowing and he pulls her in and he kisses her, and it's replicated by Elliot in E.T. And for years, I never cared what the film was. It was E.T.'s watching this film on telly.
Yeah.
But then when I was watching this, I went, E.T.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To myself,
and it must have been. It's obviously must have, for Spielberg to actually put it into E.T. He must have thought highly of that film in the first place.
Well, I think he felt quite highly of John Ford anyway.
Yeah, I mean, a phenomenal director. Quite harsh, apparently, in from all accounts. That he, a bit of a perfectionist, obviously. But yeah, I mean, the film in general, there's no real highs, two highs and two lows.
Yeah,
it seems to go along being funny consistently, emotionally makes you always seems to make you feel happy, and there's banter between them all. There's
it's actually one of the few Hollywood films in which Gaelic is spoken.
Yes, yeah.
Because that threw me off at first. I thought, wait, what did she say?
Yeah,
rewind that. What's she? Oh, I realised I'm not supposed to.
Yeah. And I think that's good as well, because that really does set the tone.
It sells it. You think, because I know when I was looking up the cast and everything, it's like I didn't have to check. I knew that they were Irish.
Yeah,
it's not like it's someone putting on an Irish accent. It's
definitely Irish.
Yeah, apart from John Wayne.
Yes.
Victor McClellan was 64 and in poor health, so the fight had to be carefully choreographed.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, because he does look old in it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
In that part.
But I mean,
still look like a tough man, though.
John Wayne kind of looks older. He was 44.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Although he was supposed to be 35.
Oh, was he? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, but no, he's 44.
Because I always find that the court, when they start courting each other. And what's the small guy's name? I can't think of his name. He's the one who obviously in every town, if you want to court someone, there's a ritual you have to do for it. You have to go and then someone comes along as a chaperone.
Yes.
And that,
because at the end, when he's with he finally gets he gets with the widow, doesn't
the widow
he?
Deland,
Mildred Natwick, who's also in The Trouble with Harry and Dangerous Liaison, so she lived quite a long time.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's basically, obviously, they no patty fingers, and he loves a drink, so he's constantly having a bit of a swig, and it's just the traditional values really set in stone there, and it's a good reflection that that was a good thing. There was a courting process. You had to ask officially to do it, and then you had to do the courting process and go through the whole the whole layout of from wanting to date someone to marriage. And the courting side was, the end goal was marriage. There was no courting just for the sake of it. It was all designed for a reason. It was carefully choreographed, chaperoned, all the way from.
Also back then, because marriage was life.
Oh, 100%.
It wasn't life. If it don't work out, we get divorced or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Marriage, or unless you become a widow.
And obviously, the actors and actresses that weren't Irish, which is only one or two, their accents are very, very believable.
I don't know if it would have worked with this guy, but apparently Bing Crosby regretted not being cast as Sean Thornton. Now, I like Bing Crosby, but seeing him go up and fighting Victor McClellan, really,
that's not going to happen, is it?
Because John Wayne, I know, obviously, I think Victor probably would have beating him. But John Wayne was quite a tough guy himself, because apparently I read this other story. He was staying in a Vegas hotel one time, and there was loads of noise in the room downstairs.
Yeah.
And it was the Rat Pack. It was like Frank Sinatra
was
and
it
their
really?
lot. And he's phoned the desk and says, "Can you ask them to be quiet, please? I'm trying to sleep." So they phoned them. Noise has gone down a little bit, and then it goes up again. And he kept phone. He's phoned the hotel. They've done it a couple of times. And he thought, "Well, I'm going to go talk to him myself."
Yeah.
He went to the door. He's knocked on the door, and there was this big bouncer, because obviously the mafia are always around the Rat Pack and stuff. They had this big bouncer come outside, and he said, "Tell him to keep it down." And the bouncer said, "You don't tell Frank to do anything." And John Wayne was back-fisted. He's turned as if to go away. Back-fisted the bouncer, knocked him out.
Oh, really?
And then they turned the knife down. That was it.
Oh, really? That doesn't surprise me, because he looked like a tough man anyway, and he looked like, I've heard other instances where he's told people to behave themselves in public, where they're getting a bit out of hand, because obviously he was happily married for many years. He even acted with his own son, and it's really funny. It's you had quite a few of them, like Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum's son went into acting, directing, and stuff like that, and you see Robert Mitchum's son in John Wayne films, and vice versa. It's quite crazy, really. But yeah, I think the whole theme of that film, it was incredibly well cast. The theme's fantastic, the script's fantastic, but it wouldn't. And the way it's been filmed is you can't really floor it at all. And it just makes me smile every time I watch it.
Yeah, and it does definitely hold up for a film of that era, because there are many which don't. But speaking in all honesty, I watched it thinking, okay, well, I'll watch this. Out of respect for Matt, he's done Elephant Man with us. Let's watch this film, and I'll go do the podcast with him and go, it weren't really, because we will be honest. Like, I made Ben watch a film the other day, and he didn't like it, so he's honest. That's all we ever asked from the podcast. Here's another case of John Wayne's toughness.
Go on.
During the filming of a take of the scene where Wayne kisses O'Hara and she slaps his face, he blocks it. She broke her hand.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
But because the film was shot out of sequence, she couldn't have it cast or anything.
Oh, no.
So she had to continue the film
without. Oh, I bet that was painful.
Yeah.
But she's a phenomenal actress.
Yeah.
Stunning as well. Stunning as well. And their on-scene presence together is captivating. It really is captivating. They work very, very well together. It doesn't seem like it's acting.
No.
It does seem natural. Yeah. And that's with a lot of films, you don't always see the chemistry is not there, and yet they've really got the chemistry. And yeah, I think from childhood to, it'll be, if I was diagnosed that I'm going to be ill and I'm going to die, there'd be a handful of films that I'd want to watch again, and that would be one of them. No matter how little time I'd have left, I would always watch that film. You'd
get up like that dying man at the end.
Yeah. Oh, but that's where the comedy in it. It's it's not in your face comedy, like
it's gentle, it's soft, and it's something you can watch with your kids or adults. But
definitely.
It's not sort of like a condescending humour. Everyone will sort of enjoy this. It's nice.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, you seem to find now a lot of the modern comedians and comedy in general. It's shock and awe. They say outrageous things just for the, some of the things that it's funny because it just makes no sense, or it's so harsh that it's, it still makes no sense. But it's funny, but it's not. It's completely different.
It's not for everyone either. It's not.
No, it's all. This is all done, and it's natural comedy. They're not trying to be funny. And they're not trying. It's not trying to be meant to make you smile, but it is making you smile because obviously the characters' interaction with each other is absolutely priceless. Even like that, you got the two vicars. You got the priest and the vicar, and obviously the Protestant priest. He did a bit of boxing himself. So he's and obviously when the big fight starts, you got everyone betting, including all all the clergy. You've got everyone's his wife, the vicar's wife's put a bet on, and things like that. I think it's
And I also really like how after the fight, it's like the fight was building throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
And they needed it because once the fight was over with, he accepted him.
Yeah, exactly.
He was like, you're a good man, and he comes into his house, and the wife does the wifely duty. You go sit down while they're sitting there. Go go and make us some food. And
the wife, the brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And then it's food dished up straight away, and she loved it. She's you can tell that's all she's ever wanted. For that family to be around, jug of Guinness, jug of the black stuff, and then nice meal, loads of potatoes. There's always loads of potatoes on everything.
Yeah.
And I think, but the smaller characters that sometimes overlook really make it as well.
Yeah.
Like Danaher's, he's got a couple of cronies that are always backing him up. And then someone like a little Weasley guy, but he'd always say that. So it's just absolutely.
Yeah.
I literally, it's obviously.
It definitely stands up to repeat viewing.
Yeah.
So you're a fan of the film. It's safe to say.
Massive fan of the film.
Have you ever been to Kong in County Mayo?
No, I haven't.
Where it's very shot.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. The fans who visit Kong to see the sights are called Quiet Man Crazies.
That would be me.
Yes.
I would love to go there and see it.
You should make a little pilgrimage.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been Ireland once. I went to Dublin, and it's not the same. It's just working. I went there working.
Yeah, it's not the same.
But I always actually want to visit like where Nell came from.
Oh,
just to
okay,
visit and then sort of think, I wonder if I'm related to that person.
Yeah. I did, but when I went to Ireland, it was quite, Southern Ireland and Northern Ireland, and I went a long, long time ago, and there was still army in the streets and things like that. So it was quite a harsh reception in some places, and open arms in another. It was very, very strange. As soon as I opened my mouth and started speaking with an English accent, half the room loved you and the other half wanted to kill you, basically. That's how it felt.
But see, I think in Southern, if you go really, like, weren't she from Cork or something? I think she might.
Somewhere around,
If we went like really far south in Ireland, by that point it's sort of like, okay, well, we judge you, sort of like how they do in this film. We judge you more based on what your character is in the next 5 minutes, rather than any heritage or what you've come from. It's all about you as an individual.
But I think with that film, because obviously they've got two sides in the same, they've got two priests, they've got a priest and a vicar in the same small, tiny village with probably about 300 people there, 400 people max. And I think that's a great dynamic that, how it could, and it's also a bit of an eye-opener, how life could be with both sides of the coin being happy and
harmonious.
Yeah, exactly.
So on IMDb, this got 7.7. Which is good,
but it's not.
I thought this would have got about 8.2, I reckon.
Yeah.
I always try and have a guess. I would have guessed around about 8.2, 7.7. However, Rotten Tomatoes, both the critics and audience gave it 91%, which is a lot better. That's a lot very better. High. It's very good.
I would agree with that. I'd probably give it 99.
Oh, well, of course, it's one of your favourites.
Yeah, I mean, but just the acting in it is just, and most people would say John Wayne doesn't act; he just plays himself. But in a lot of ways, he acts in that. He does. Also,
it suits him in this.
Yeah, it does.
If you read the part on paper, you'd go, John Wayne would be good for that because it fits the role.
Yeah, he does. That this whole drink of water, being another tough guy. But the last 10, 15 minutes of that film is it's the only way that film could end.
Yeah.
And it's done so well when they're having and people coming in from all over, and it's just it's probably it'll be definitely in my top 10, just purely because of the scenery, the acting, the storyline, the little chuckle every now and again you get when you. But one of the best character in it for me is Red. I don't know how he's just Victor McClellan just the way he is.
He's
just,
so angry all the
He's-
time,
yeah.
but he's funny angry.
Yeah,
It's not
it
like
is.
you're not scared. You don't think, oh, he's going to kill someone. You just think,
no.
oh, I tell you,
Yeah. He's like, he loves a rant, doesn't he? He loves a rant, but he obviously loves the widower, doesn't he? And he's like, he's got his eye on her, and at one point he thinks that he's trying to schmooze her, and he gets a bit jealous and stuff like that. It's just absolutely hilarious. And obviously the priest fishing for salmon of all salmons in the river, and but just having the horse and cart and things like that takes away everything. But yeah, as John Wayne films go, it's that my, it's
your favourite.
It's one of my favourites. It's one of my favourites. I also like Rio Bravo.
Searchers.
The Searchers is a fantastic film as well. I mean, it's
So I've got my John Wayne man then.
Yeah.
Because Michael is my Jimmy Stewart man.
Really?
He loves Jimmy Stewart's his favourite. He's watched all the Jimmy Stewart things. He's seen all the documentaries, read all the books. So when we do a Jimmy Stewart film, he's my go-to guy, but you'll be my John Wayne guy. Okay, this film, the budget was 1.75 million and it made 3.8 million at the box office. So
it was a massive success at the time then.
Yeah. Right.
Done with the money.
Yeah, it's done all right, because at the time budgets were a lot smaller anyway. Yeah. But can you guess what I'm going to do next week's podcast?
No, go on.
I'll give you a clue.
Go on.
It's called 2517.
Oh, Pulp Fiction.
Word.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind being on that. That is... Oh,
you'd have to dress up.
That's fine. Who do you want me to be?
Samuel Jackson. No. John Travolta, mate.
John Travolta?
Yeah.
How about Zed?
Zed's no, you can be the Gimp.
Yeah.
You can be the Gimp. Brilliant. All right. Well, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining me, Matt.
You're welcome.
Please like, subscribe, and share.
Take care. Bye.